What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collective Clips, where you already know we get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding! Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I am kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel and it's all because of you. And for that, I can say, man, I'm very humbled and thank you so much. I appreciate all the support. Now, I get asked a lot of questions. And one of the questions I frequently get asked in my lives is, hey, Gun, you know, what's up with the cartel? What's up with this? What's up with that? How do they function in the California prison system? Are they allowed to walk the yards? Do they take over yards? Are they deep? Is their presence heavy? Is there a big presence of cartel members? Well, if there was, I wouldn't know. And for the most part, man, anyone who's been watching my channel for years now understands that I try to speak about the cartel at the very minimum, right? I don't get involved in their business. And I mean, you don't got to bump your head or ask too many questions to understand why. It's simply put, these guys are serious business. You know, there's groups, there's organizations that are serious business. Okay, they don't fuck around. They don't take highly to what they can misconstrue as disrespect. You know, there's a lot of people that like to throw the cartel word around or the organization around, you know, and there's different cartels. We'll break it down right now. But I've never been the one to elaborate on their business. And I've told stories where they were involved. But at the same time, in the meantime, in between time, I just try to leave their shit alone because it's none of my business. I don't really know the ins and outs of being part of a cartel, what they got going on. I know what we see on National Geographic or the A&E channel, just like you. But I have had some history with people who said they were cartel and official cartel members while incarcerated. So in order to do, you know, what I say I do, and that's, you know, answer the questions of the people then righteously, I'm going to answer this question for the one time and one time only. You know, what happens to cartel members in the California prison system? Well, first and foremost, they're not very deep. There's not a lot of them. And most of the time they fly under the radar. They're not out there on the yards announcing their affiliation to anything. Most guys that are from a cartel in Mexico, that's their home. This is not their backyard. They might play over here on this yard in the United States. They might conduct business and do what they do. But for the most part, it's not their backyard. They're from Mex, right? So that's their homeland. That's where they are from. That's what they represent. But they're not going to announce it to the yard. They're not going to tell everybody, hey, I'm a cartel member, because, hey, people in prison, especially in the California system, look for any vulnerability. They look for any type of person who's making money or having money on that yard so that way they can get in their pockets. Doesn't matter if they're from your group. It doesn't matter if they're from another group. Everybody is trying to get in somebody's pockets. No, Wes Watson, not the fucking back pocket. You do that yourself, right? But everyone's trying to get in somebody's pockets. Everyone's trying to exploit someone else or extort someone else. And they'll do it in a way of befriending you. They'll do it in a way of, hey, you're the camarada, you're the homie. In the meantime, in between time, hey, bro, you know what I'm saying? Hey, put some on my books or look out for me. It happens all the time. There's a lot of people in the California prison system that are very manipulative. They know exactly what time it is. And if they see someone with money, everything's a hustle. That's the bottom line there. It's all about the fresh air you can breathe, as much freedom as you can gain and get, and getting in someone's pockets or going out there and getting your own money. So there's not going to be cartel members that go on the yard and announce their presence or say they're affiliated or they're associated, for the most part, because they don't want to be taken advantage of. Now, the most cartel members that are locked up in the state of California usually catch a Fed case. Usually they get caught with such an amount of narcotics or whatever they're involved in that, you know, it warrants a Fed case. These guys are getting caught with switches. They're getting caught with automatic weapons. It's just what it is. And so the feds usually pick it up, or they're usually deported, one or the other. So you're not going to run into very many cartel members or people that are alleged to be cartel members in the California state prison system. But there are some. You know, there's a lot of guys that are from the cartel that actually, whether they be sicarios or whatever, they smack some shit, they get involved in something, they go to a bar. Someone doesn't know. That's why you don't fuck with people you don't know, because you never know where that person's from or if they have family member from a certain group. See, I learned that a long time ago. You don't just go bumping into people at the local bar or at the Segunda or the, you know, flea market, whatever you call it, and get all crazy and high power and think you're punking someone. Yeah, you might punk them then, but later on they might have a family member that comes from Michoacan that's going to punk you that now, right? It's just what it is. What it is. You know, I know that in the 90s, when I was running around in the town before I got incarcerated and went to the youth authority and then started my prison career, the paisas were being taken advantage of. Now, when I say paisas, a lot of people, you know, have a lot of variations of that word. Paisa meaning paisano, native to their country or native to their fellow man. But the paisas is a word that's used by, you know, Chicanos in California, Mexicanos, and not as a disrespectful word, but as a word to classify a Mexican national. So, you know, the paisas were being taken advantage of, especially in Northern California. I know a lot was going on in Southern California as well. They were being victimized. They were being robbed. You know, most of these guys weren't a part or associated with the cartel or anything like that. They might have had family members or some type of affiliation, but a lot of them guys were coming over to work, to take care of their families. You know, my grandfather did the same thing. He came from Zacatecas. My other grandfather came from Juarez. And all they wanted to do was make a better life. That's what most people want to do. They utilize America, the United States, as a land of opportunity for what it was built for. Okay? To make money, work hard, take care of their families, and take their money back to the rancho. That's what it is. Most of these guys that come work over here, they're not planning on staying in the United States forever. They just want to work and have a better opportunity because there's not very many opportunities afforded to them in their own country. So they come over, they make money, they put all their money back into a rancho, or either whether bringing their family back over, or, you know, they go home. You know, my grandfather used to go to Mexico twice a year, every year. That was his home. This was his work. He fucking, what's that called? He traveled, okay? That's just what he did. So, there are cartel members that get caught up on, say, a murder case or whatever the case may be. Life happens. It's not like most of these guys are coming over, headhunting people. Now, we know what cartels do. And if you don't, like I said, this is not the channel for you. There's other channels that expose their hand and let you know exactly what their willings and their dealings are in their business. But for the most part, we all know that they're considered to be the pushers of narcotics. They're considered to be them, right? So, but they also don't fuck around. They also take their business serious. And there's a lot of guys in Mexico that come from poverty, that come from nothing. There's not, like I said, they're not afforded a lot of opportunity, a lot of work. It's a different country. Once you cross that frontera, that border, shit changes, right? And men got to be men and take care of their families. And you could say whatever you want, but there's no one can deny that Mexicano people, Mexican people are the hardest workers you'll ever meet in your life. Maybe not individually, but as a whole, period. The Mexican people are traditionally the hardest workers. They were raised that way. That's part of the culture. It's part of the cultura to work hard, to toil in that soil for the fruit, you know, and gain by the fruits of your labor. So Mexicans work hard, man. They'll build a house in 2 days. Okay? They'll fucking fuck your whole order up at Jack in the Box, but hey, they'll get it right. I'm telling you, it's just what it is, man. But they sure can fucking, they'll mow a line like no one's business. I know. I work side by side with them in the fields, you know, landscaping companies. I know what it is. Ain't no one out working a Mexican. Mexicans work circles around at people. That's just how it is. If every Mexican decided to go back and say, you know what, fuck this job, the United States would crumble. Facts, right? So most of these guys coming from Mexico would just work hard. But, of course, you have, just like any other ethnic group, you have the bad apples. The people that want to affiliate themselves with something more. They want that easy money or that fast money. And a lot of those guys, they have nothing else to turn to, so they become affiliated with the local cartel. Because most of those cartels, albeit, man, there's drugs, murder, mayhem that's involved, they also look out for their communities. They're also the only thing going. So that's the only people these guys can turn to. And someone that's helping your family, providing a job for you to raise your children, these guys become very loyal, are willing to go all out. That's another thing about Mexicans is we have pride, and there's a lot of tribalism and a lot of viciousness involved when it comes to something you're dedicated to. And I think that shows with gangs like Norteños and Southsiders that are stemmed and were derived from, you know, all of us having Mexican blood. We come from, you know, warriors, a warrior group that definitely didn't fuck around, right? So that's why you have that war that's went on 50 plus years, whether it's to end the hostilities or anything, they still, there's always going to be that animosity or that tribalism or that us against you mentality on both sides. It's part of the Mexican culture and the blood. You know, it's a culture thing. every culture is a beautiful thing, but there's also ugliness within the cultures. So I had a celly, okay, and this celly was a paisa, and we were placed in the hole. We were doing time in the hole, and I remember he didn't speak much English, so he was trying to teach me more Spanish, and I was trying to teach him more English, but we couldn't communicate well. This guy used to pace, but he spoke enough for me to understand lightweight what he was talking about, and he used to tell me stories, you know, about crossing the frontera constantly into Arizona. And his name was Chicali, okay? He claimed he was from Baja California, in Mexico. And he claimed he was a cartel member, or he was highly associated with them. And, you know, in the beginning, I thought, a lot of dudes claim the fame. You know, he's talking about something that he might know a little bit about, might be associated by like a primo or a tío or family, but didn't seem to strike me as that. Then as it went on, he started to tell me stories and things that I knew only a cartel member or someone that was living that life would know. And it tripped me out. His demeanor, the way he was, you could tell by looking in his eyes. Again, that black look in his eyes, that I don't give a fuck, that anyone could get it look. But he was very calculated, smooth, and one of the nicest guys I met, one of the better cellies I ever had, very clean, very professional in his willings and dealings. Didn't speak much. When he told a story, he told it directly, and it was straight to the point, and it was what it was. He truly, I believe, was a cartel member. And that was my first glimpse up close and personal to really seeing them guys, what they think. You know, because I started to ask them questions. Why do you guys do this? Why do you do that? You know, what's the point behind this? And as he explained it to me, I understood. I understood. In most cases, it was just business, nothing personal. In most cases, like I said, man, there's a certain loyalty that they feel towards, you know, the jefe, towards the boss of the crew. It's an organization, man. It's ran tight, like a familia or organization, and their loyalty is unwavering. So he told me a lot of stories, things I can't repeat just based on, you know, law enforcement and all that. But it tripped me out. It tripped me out having, you know, being cellies with him for about 4 or 5 months before ultimately they ended up shipping me out, shipping him out. He was a good, solid dude, man. I knew for damn sure nobody was coming in that cell. You know, this guy talked a lot about doing things that we see on TV with chainsaws and shit. We'll just say that. So in the California prison system, how's the cartel treated? Well, if they are in the system, they're going to be running with the paisas for the most part. And like I said, a lot of them will fly under the radar. They're not going to tell anybody what they are. But if someone happens to find out, most guys treat them with the level of respect because they understand and they hear stories and they've seen TV. They understand what these guys are about. Now, I remember there was one guy on the yard and it was floating around, hey, this guy was part of a certain cartel that was high-powered, and he was in there for, you know, what they were saying was a couple murders, but that he had a younger wife in Mexico. Okay, now let me explain something about Mexico. In Mexico, it's different. I was out there in Juarez. Okay, we'll get back to his story and what happened to him. True shit. So I'm in Juarez, and, you know, I'm running around with my boy, and we meet people, and we didn't have a car because we were on the run out there. So we met one person that met another person that introduced us to another person. So next thing you know, we're up in a van fucking cruising with this paisas. And, you know, we get pulled over and they ask for armas, drogas. And this dude has fucking a case of beer. He's just slamming them. They're not even tripping off the drinking and driving. They're more focused on if you have guns or drugs. He said whatever he said, and we were able to get on. But I recognized this dude, you know, every time he would leave, man, it seemed like he had like a younger girl. I'm not saying like real young, but she just didn't look old enough to be old enough. You know what I'm saying? And so I told my homeboy, hey, I can't associate with this. He was like, yeah, me either. And so I approached him one day and I got at him. I said, hey, bro, what the, you know, is that your daughter? Or who's this younger kid you always have riding in the, you know, shotgun with you? Oh, that's my fiance. And I said, yeah, but she looks young. And he was like, yeah, she's 17. And that was a year too young for me. In fact, about 5-6 years too young for me, right? And we had words. He tried to explain to me in Mexico it was different, you know, rules. And I explained to him, I'm going to sock you in the face. And I did it, right? Because I felt that type of way. And he threatened me and I threatened him back. And it was just words. But, I mean, his eye was going that way while I was running that way, you know, getting away from the situation because I fucked him up. That's the way I was brought up, the way I was taught. So now, fast forward. So that's when I get the understanding that's different in Mexico. They do some fuck with younger women. I guess that's just how it is, right? So now, and you gotta understand, I had a baby's mama, rest in peace. That was Paisa. And she told me about, you know, her wedding day when she was 15 years old and she was a child bride and sold into marriage, and how she was kidnapped by a cartel member. And these things were all true. This shit happened in Michoacan, Apaxia, Michoacan. This is part of what happens. You know, if someone wants your lady, they'll just take her. Now, albeit she was young, and that was a cold part of the game. But like I said, Mexico's different. So fast forward to prison, and this guy, the word on the curb was he was part of a cartel. He was a cartel member, but that he had a younger wife. But again, he wasn't in on bad paperwork. He had smoked a couple dudes, and he was walking the yard. He was affiliated with the Paisas. Well, a Paisa had come, transferred from the feds. He had done doing his fed time. Now he was doing state time. He had come from Victorville, and then he was transferred to California to finish state time or do state time. The dude was like a murderer. He was a hardcore. I remember this Paisa got there, and he was well respected, knew a lot of people. And he didn't like dude for whatever reason. Now, the Paisa that had come from Victorville, he had some type of association with the cartel as well. That's what everybody was talking about. And I guess his cartel and this guy's cartel were rivals. And so he outed this dude as being a weirdo, as saying that this dude was associating or had a young wife. And that's when it really started. And the Paisas jumped this guy. He got moved to another yard. And I remember thinking to myself when I heard he got moved to the other yard, like, hey, this feels stupid, right? They're going to get this dude. And sure enough, man, the Southerners pushed up on him, and they butchered him on the yard, right? He didn't make it, from what I heard. He didn't make it, right? And again, the story goes deep. So they do that to him, whatever, right? Not tripping off his affiliation, not tripping off none of that. To them, he was just a Paisa dude, man, that had a bad case. And that's how it is in the California system. If you're found out to have bad cases, whatever the case may be, man, people are going to get off. You're not going to last too long on that yard. Once it's found out and it's verified and they got the paperwork and they know it's truth, and even in sometimes, man, it's just hearsay, you're going to get whacked. You know, the cops are going to give you up. Everyone's going to, it's like I said, everyone on the yard going to know what happened except for you until you don't know no more. Well, anyways, one of these dudes who was a hitter ends up catching a zapato. He catches a shoe term, gets validated as an indeterminate shoe or whatever, gets out. Okay, gets out of prison. Well, no, this is what it was. They couldn't prove that he was involved, but he ends up catching a shoe on another assault. And he actually beat that murder, right? Took it to the box, beat it. I know he had a co-defendant who was found guilty or admitted it. And anyways, this dude gets out, man, and him and his family come up missing. Okay, and they find this dude. That dude's family was cartel. He was part of something. They don't forgive or forget, man. That's why I don't speak on the cartel shit, because they will kill your whole bloodline off. They're serious about their business. They do it in the most gruesome, horrific way, so that way they lay a demo down. That's what most organizations do. They want it as graphic and as gruesome as possible, so that way people know. It instills fear in people. You know, there's a lot of prison gangs that do that. There's a lot of hoods, barrios that do that. They want shit done in the most gruesome and the most horrific way, so that way everyone knows it's a demo. Just like that video we played the other day, man, about that guy Monster, Cody Taylor, that him and his crimey allegedly did that stabbing on that youngster, right, in the day room that was chained up. Unfortunate event. But again, they did that and made it as gruesome and as hectic as they could, because it's a demo. They want people to fear their group. People to know that they don't fuck around. You know, and cartels don't. But you're not going to run into very many of them in the state. Like I said, I have walked the yards, and if they do run, they're going to run with the Paisas. And again, in hand, the Paisas do their own thing in the state. They're not as deep as they are in the feds, but they do associate with the Southsiders, rock on the same side of the yard. And I've seen the Paisas involved against the Southsiders and things, and I've seen them rock together. You know, I don't know the whole details into that relationship. But the Paisas, you know, they politic within their own, and they got their shit going on. And I know a lot of people like to say, oh, they don't check paperwork. They always got weirdos on their yard. And I mean, if you know that, then handle the business. That's what I say to people. If you know that there's a group that allows that to happen, then that's up to you. If you feel some type of way on that yard, then you fucking get at them, or you get at the person who you feel is a weirdo, man, and handle it. Because if you're fucking letting that, oh, he's not our people, so we'll let them deal with them. But so you can't get out, Holmes, and say that you never walked the yard with a weirdo because you allowed that to happen. You knew, and you didn't do nothing either. That's just how it is. So anyways, you know, for the people that ask me the questions about the paisas or the cartel members, you know, like I said, there's not very many of them, and they don't announce their presence. They're very clandestine in their willings and dealings. Now, there was a couple that were on the yard, I remember, or, you know, you never truly know if a Vault's part of a cartel. It's not like there's a fucking sign or a tattoo that he gets that lets you know. But you could kind of tell by the way they carry themselves and how quiet they are. And there was one guy, he had it going on. You know, I was in a prison. I was in a corporate prison, whether it be SATF or corporate. You know, that's up for people to decide, or figure out. But it was one of the corporans, and yeah, this guy had that yard sewed up, man. He had all the dope. He had, you know, he was doing his thing. You know, he was hitting all the time, and he was the man there. And it's either two things that happen when you're hitting in the California prison system. Either you're the man, and hey, everyone loves you. You're that brother. Can I get some coffee and a shot, right? You're that man. Or you're that man everybody wants to be, so you get kited out, took off on, whacked. People will find a way to dirty politic on you. There's a lot of jealousy and envious things that happen in prison. It's a cutthroat game. Don't matter who you are. Usually it's your own group from within that's trying to tear you down. You know, you get a homeboy starts hitting, his old lady's bringing something, or he gets a hookup with a CO or whatever. And at first he's that one. Dad, that's right, bro, that's right. And then eventually people start to become envious. And they start to want to get in his pockets, and they start wanting to be that one. And I think it's human nature for everybody wanting to be the man. And that's where a lot of the violence and the bullshit in prison stems from, behind drugs and people wanting to be that one. Anyways, man, as far as the cartel, you'll never know who they are. They're not deep. It's not like they have their own gang. Hey, this is Barrio Cartel over here. It's not like that in the California system. Like I said, man, there are those that walk the yard, but there's not a lot. Just not like there's not a lot of paisas on the yard. They usually go to the feds, you know, and that's just it. So I don't speak on their business too much. Like I said, I've had some association with them. I will be doing a Super Norteño video coming up pretty soon where we ran into a cartel member. You're going to trip out. He was a funny dude, so we'll get to that. Anyways, with that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose. I hope that you get everything that you want coming. And remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the struggle, to strive, to struggle. I'm going to continue to entertain you guys with the best entertainment I can, the best content I can, and work hard to achieve that, man. Thank you guys for all the support. I appreciate it. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Bang, bang.